What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keto Rewind. There we go. I am Jess. Thanks for clicking on today's video. It is the last video for me on this channel in 2023. It's been a heck of a year. It's been a very insightful year for me. It was a year that really made me dig back in the depths of Jess, peel those layers off that onion, and just really make me learn a few things about my journey. And this way I could make a better goal for the new year, so that it's not just a, oh, I wish I could lose this weight type of mentality. It's a, let's make these changes. This is how I'm going to do it. This is what works. This is what doesn't work. And the blueprint to Jess. Unfortunately, weight loss is not a one-size-fits-all approach. So basically everything I'm telling you is just my story and what works and stuff. For me, it is on you to dig your own layers of the onion off and find out what works for you. And it is something that just can't happen overnight. I'm approaching 5 years on this channel in February. So it's not something that it can just be figured out overnight. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and determination to get where I feel like I'm finally at, so that it is something that is truly a change and not just a hope and a wish, but true action, that this changed me, kind of mentality. So we'll talk about that more on Tuesday, I guess. And then you can use my health goals as inspiration for your journey. But the main thing is you've got to do what works for you at the end of the day, and you got to not care what everybody else thinks you should do. Because ultimately, no one's opinion matters other than your own, because it's gonna be your choice, So with that said, my parents are in town. Obviously, it's the holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. So my mom, it's been cold, thus the sweatshirt. So my mom made a delicious low carb French onion soup, and it's one that she makes all the time, that when she's in town, I'm like, can you make this for me? So I thought I'd film it and we can make it now together. Or actually, I now have it on film so that I can make it now on my own, because once my parents head back home. And before we head downstairs and make that delicious soup with Mom, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Hero. Hero is a new sponsor here on this channel, but they are one of those brands that truly knocked it out of the park when it comes to taste and texture and nutrition. It's so fluffy, so light, so, it tastes like the real thing instead of cardboard when you're biting into the bread or the tortillas. So I'm a fan. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown away a low carb bread because it tasted like cardboard, to the point where I'm just like, no thanks, I'll just not have the bread. But this is one of those ones that if you want a special treat, this one knocks it out of the park. Definitely highly recommend it. And the main thing I like is there's no net carbs, no sugar, and Hero bread is also made with olive oil now. So that's why I decided to make the French onion soup. The bread part will be the Hero bread, and you'll get to see the delicious taste and texture in person. So right now, Hero bread is offering 10% off an order of $50 or more. Use my link down below in the description box with coupon code KETOREWIND10. Now, let's head down to the kitchen and make the delicious low-carb French onion soup. Alrighty, it is now dinner time, and I have somebody in the kitchen with me today.
Hi!
And we're going to be making a spatchcock chicken, and on the side of that will be a homemade low-carb French onion soup. So let me flip the camera around and show you what we have here. All right, Mom, what are you making?
Okay, the spatchcock chicken, real simple recipe, wholesome yum. We'll probably put a link to it.
Link down below in the description box.
And basically, if you see, there's a compound butter under the skin, and it's really delicious. It's blended, it's butter with herbs and a little bit of fresh herbs and dried herbs, and then it goes underneath the skin as it bakes, and then you coat it with an olive oil and salt, pepper, and paprika.
Super easy. And I see you have like a baking, what do you call it, rack in there, so it'll give some air underneath it.
The theory behind it is the air circulates, so it cooks evenly, so you don't have cold spots and hot spots, especially when you're having chicken. So you want to, especially where there's that much involved with bones and stuff on the bottom. So
all right. And then with the soup, what's our first process or our first step in the I can't get my, it's because it's a paper towel.
Yeah.
So what is the first step when it comes to the French onion soup?
All right, so for the French onion soup,
trying out my new cooktop. This is the last time you've been here.
I know, it's all new. One thing, this recipe is doubled, so I'm not going to give you quantities because, you know, there's a lot of us here, so this is double. The link to the recipe will be the regular, traditional recipe.
It'll be down below in the description box.
Right. And it starts off with olive oil and butter.
Can't go wrong there.
That's heaven on earth. And then to that, and this process takes about 30 minutes. You slice up about 8 cups of sweet onions or yellow onions, whatever you choose. I tend to do the sweet yellow onions. And you just dump them all in and let that saute. And after about 30 minutes, it will be a deep golden brown, and that's what you want. You don't want it caramelized, but you do want a nice golden brown color on your onions. And then to that, we're going to add some pepper. Don't be afraid of the pepper. And some pink salt. And that's pretty much it until they cook down. So we'll be back in 30 minutes or so when they're ready.
All right, so talk to us what you're doing here.
All right, on the top of a French onion soup, there's usually a crouton that they float or some hard, crusty bread. So we are going to do it with furrow bread. And that will float on the top. And then on this particular recipe, I use Gruyere cheese. You can use provolone, you can use Swiss, you could use mozzarella, but Gruyere cheese is a French cheese. This is a French onion soup, and the Gruyere cheese melts so well. So we're gonna go with that one.
And we're doing the white bread for the hero bread. This way, and each of the slices have 0 net carbs. So you're just using a biscuit cutter? Mm-hmm. Just to make the shape?
Yep, and that makes it that perfectly round shape.
Need the hard rock.
Yeah.
And you can do this by hand. You don't have to make it perfect.
I like to. That's how I roll.
Mom's extra, so she likes to make things pretty.
Mom's special. Sounds like our oven is ready for the spatchcock chicken.
All right, so those are all set.
Those are the croutons for the French onion soup. And I just set it aside here, and it's okay if it dries out because it's going to get baked in the oven with the cheese and everything at the final. And that's it. Chicken temperature is up to 425, and in go the chicken. This should take about an hour to an hour and a half. Every chicken is different. You check your internal temperature. It should be about 165. When that comes out of the oven, we let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes before we start slicing it up.
And one thing to note, we don't really eat enough bread to eat a whole loaf in like a couple of days. It is more like a treat for us to pull out a piece of bread. So it costs way too much to let it waste. So make sure you store it in the freezer. This way you have it in there and you use it as needed instead of having to let it maybe spoil, or, you know, because gluten-free breads, you know, keto breads, like all that stuff, they just don't keep as well as the grocery store stuff that's just full of preservatives and stuff. So just keep it in the freezer and pull it out as you need. Okay, so it has been about, what, half hour, 45 minutes-ish?
Yep.
And it's now time for the next step.
And this is what it looks like golden, isn't it? So it's a real pretty, it's appealing.
It's fogging my screen up. There we go.
All right, to that, we're going to add garlic. And it's freshly minced garlic from New England. It's garlic. And we're going to mix that in. And then my favorite part, we get to order some white wine.
Just a regular old white wine?
This one I'm using a Woodbridge Chardonnay because we're not much for white wine drinkers. So
Wait, I can't see how much you just pour in there.
that's,
Quarter cup?
It's a third, so it's going to be 2/3 of a cup.
2/3 of a cup.
And the rest goes into my glass. Shh, don't tell anybody. And I'm going to add bay leaves. Okay. And you can use fresh thyme. And I actually bought fresh thyme, but it didn't get put in the bag at the supermarket. So I'm using dried. And then give that a good stir. And this is pretty much it. Now we just add our liquids, which is going to be, you can use coconut aminos or the Worcestershire.
How much?
About 2 tablespoons. And a little bit, because onions are kind of, yeah, some of them have a real sharp taste to them of a scent. So they usually cut it back with a little bit, and I'm using xylitol.
So keto approved sweetener of
Yes,
your choice.
yes. And I would think just about any of them would work. Lastly, water. And beef broth.
And watch your backs of your beef broth.
Yes.
Because sometimes they put sugar in beef broth,
This
so.
was the only one that I found today that did not have sugar in it.
It's like, I wouldn't even think to look at beef broth. It's supposed to just be beef broth, not sugar.
And we don't make our own beef broth. We make chicken broth, but we don't make our own beef broth. So maybe it's time to learn how to make beef broth.
So 4 of this size.
Yes, again, it's a double batch, so.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
So you're looking at about 64 ounces, or 2 of them for a single batch.
Right. And this would be good as a single batch. I mean, you could eat in the cold weather, or if a storm is coming or something, you could eat off this for a whole week, every day for lunch. You know, it would be really good. And then the final thing we do is bring it up to a boil and then reduce it to a low simmer. And it should simmer for at least 30 minutes. And by the
To
time,
reduce.
this will sit for a while after it's simmered. And I like that because I want it to cool down a little bit so the flavors get better blended. And then by the time the chicken comes out of the oven, we'll warm it back up, put it in the bowls, and finish it off. So we'll be back.
All right, we'll be back at the next step. All right, so now we're gonna take the hero bread and place it in the bowl. On top of that, we'll do Gruyere cheese. And meanwhile, we have the oven at the broil setting so that these will just go right in. Once that's on there, we're gonna do some fresh thyme right on top. And then stick it in the oven until it's bubbly. And here is the finished product. We have the French onion soup with the hero bread, Gruyere cheese, and then we have the chicken breast. Look how delicious and yummy that is. Like seriously, oh my gosh, get in my belly. I also have a bonus recipe for you. I use the tortillas and we are gonna make just a plain old simple taco. So these light and fluffy tortillas, just using the ground sirloin, and you can screenshot this. This is just a plain old taco seasoning mix. And then I'm gonna add those spices to the ground beef, and then I'm gonna assemble the taco. So I'm gonna add my ground beef. I'm using 2 tacos, this is dinner. And then I put the ground beef, a little cheese. I'm using just the Mexican cheese. And then salsa, can never have too much salsa. Just so much flavor in that. And then topping it off with a little bit of an avocado drizzle. So I'm putting that, and there is my finished product, and I can zip out the door in 2 seconds and head to my kids' basketball practice. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Use my link down below to get 10% off your order of $50 or more, and use coupon code KETOREWIND10. So I will see you at the next one. Thank you, Hero, for sponsoring this video. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next year. I'm Jess, you're watching Keto Rewind. Bye!